What is going on, guys? Josiah LaRue here, and today we're going to be talking about some of the latest news and technology, including new ways to measure your glucose, the new Nvidia GTX 1080, and Deadpool. So let's do this. So yeah, guys, let's talk about some of the latest news and technology. I know this is a segment that I haven't been doing in a while, so let's get back into it and start off movie with a big red bang. That's right, Deadpool. So Deadpool was Marvel's first rated R movie, and despite that rating, it was probably one of their most popular Marvel movies ever. I went and saw it a couple times, and I really enjoyed it. Now, it is R for a reason. There's a lot of violence, a lot of crassness, a little bit of nudity, and it's just a really good movie. So if you are 18 and you can see it and you haven't seen it yet, I definitely recommend it. But the news that we're talking about today is it has now become one of the fastest digital selling download movies ever. Within a week, or actually about 5 days of them releasing Deadpool as a digital download on iTunes or wherever digital downloads are available, over 1 million copies have already been downloaded, and it has not even hit Blu-ray yet, which is going to be coming out around May 27th or so. So in a week, 1 million digital downloads, making it one of the fastest downloaded Marvel movies ever, which is actually quite amazing. So I haven't downloaded it yet. I'll probably wait for the DVD, but overall, it's a really great movie. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Digital download, link in the description down below, or coming out on Blu-ray soon. Next up, let's talk about Nvidia's GTX 1080. Now, this is the next evolution of graphical processing power from Nvidia, and they are continuing to smash it out of the park. With the new 1080 and 1070 product line coming up from the 980 and 970, they are continuing to push new limits. In fact, the 1080 is now the fastest card ever, and it's basically their top of the line, but still in their reference enthusiast card line. It is almost twice as fast as the Titan X, which was the original kingpin or big kahuna of the Nvidia GTX line. It has now been passed by its younger brother. Of course, they'll probably be bringing out a Titan 12 or something like that in the next few months to maybe half a year, but in the meantime, the 1080 is the king of the cards. Nvidia wasn't quite clear on how fast it was, but it was going to be faster than a Titan X and twice as fast as two 980s in SLI, just to put that in perspective. It's also double as power efficient and built on a smaller architecture. So let's talk about some of the specs that they talked about. It's built on the new 16 nanometer FinFET 3D transistor manufacturing process, which allows for smaller dies but also increased performance at a lower power rating. So better efficiency, better power, better performance, all on smaller cards. What was probably one of the more impressive things was that Nvidia showed this card off running some of the top rated games of today, all at 60 frames per second, buttery smooth, and then they released the numbers. The card was running at 2.1 gigahertz with RAM at over 5.5 gigahertz, and this was at air. Now, this had only been achieved in the 980s by running them under nitrogen cooling, so super cooling, and then cranking the clock speeds up. 2.1 gigahertz on air. That is actually very impressive and really is going to allow the overclocking nation to have a lot more performance. If you can run 2.1 gigahertz at air, that only pushes the envelope for what they can do under liquid cooling or even nitrogen cooling. Another big push for the 1080 and 1070 was increased performance for multiple virtual displays. Virtual reality is the king of the future, and Nvidia is trying to position themselves as the leader of this in video cards that not only support it but allow you to run huge virtual reality displays and everything without stutter and without tearing for a headache-free, enjoyable experience. Now, Nvidia didn't release all of their technical specs yet, probably more of that closer to launch date, but they did say a few things. Not only is this card going to be super energy efficient, it is going to require only one 8-pin power connector. It's going to be running on the brand new GDDR5X memory, which, while the memory speeds haven't been released yet, it is the newest, fastest 3D printed memory and allows it to crank out 9 teraflops of video processing power. Also, it's going to have 8 gigs of onboard video RAM stock. Now, the younger brother was also announced, although not as much was said about it, the 1070, which is going to be positioned at a level slightly lower than the 1080. So if you're looking for a lot of the similar power but without the same price point, the 1070 is right there. However, it is not using the GDDR5, it's using last generation GDDR5, but it still has 8 gigabytes of RAM stock, so it's still going to be very power efficient and still going to be very powerful in itself. Both the 1080 and the 1070 are going to be coming out on May 27th. You can snag the 1080 for $599.99 or a Founders Edition, which is their limited edition first off production run, which has a new stylish cooler, for $699.99. You can also get the 1070 on launch date for $379.99 or Founders Edition for $449.99. So pretty affordable, actually very competitive, and Nvidia is really positioning themselves as the leader for not only power efficiency, but also VR. And finally, let's talk about a new way for people to check their glucose levels. So for those of you who don't have diabetes, your glucose levels are the amount of sugar in your blood. People who suffer from diabetes should rejoice because we are now releasing a way to check your glucose levels without having to prick your finger, which is actually quite impressive and far less painful than it used to be. Researchers at the University of Cardiff have successfully tested and designed a product that would measure your glucose levels through your skin using microwaves and some other technology. It then records that data and sends it back to an app on your phone or other smart device for processing and displaying all these levels in quick and easy ways for you to chart your glucose levels throughout the day. The ability for diabetes people or anyone suffering with glucose imbalances to be able to check their blood sugar without having to prick their finger and get the blood outside of their body and into some sort of recording device is really a breakthrough, and I feel that is going to be very popular and successful in the diabetes community. I know that I don't like pricking myself with needles all the time, and I don't imagine anyone with diabetes would either, even though I'm sure they're pretty much used to it. So I believe that this would be very popular in the future. However, it is a few years out as it has to go through some final testing and then be approved by the FDA as a valid device with 100% accuracy, so that there are not any issues with people getting inaccurate blood sample readings, as what your glucose levels are determines how much doses of insulin you will need for the day. So this is very important, and I can't wait to see what the future of this will come out as, because if this technology is properly applied, you could use it to read other levels of bodily fluids as well without having to draw blood, which is going to be the next wave of the future, particularly for anyone who doesn't like needles. So yeah, guys, that's been some of the latest news of the technology in the last week or so. I'm really glad to have this section coming back. I'm hopefully going to be able to do a little bit more in the future. Just lately it's been really busy and I've not been able to research and write these articles and these scripts. So yeah, I'm glad to be back, and hopefully we'll be doing more in the future. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Let me know in the comment box down below, what did you like best? Did you like Deadpool? Have you seen it yet? You really should. What about the new 1080 and 1070? Isn't it cool to have a new graphics card that is faster than the Titan X? And finally, diabetes people rejoice, no longer having to prick your fingers in 3 or 4 years. Let me know in the comment box down below, what did you guys think? As always, guys, thanks for watching. Remember, you can check out the last video I did right here, what I talked about right here. Remember that like and subscribe button down below. Check me out on social media, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!